Hello and welcome to another isolation quick fix, although more of a refurbishment than a quick fix this time. Let me take you back a few years when eBay and Amazon were started selling those Chinese solar powered external lights like this one. So I and many other people all over the world wanted to know, would these lights actually work and last for a length of time? Well, now we have the answer. Yes, they do. This one I bought about 3.5 years ago, and most of the time this is perfectly fine and still works, but it needs a little bit of TLC, and that is the topic of this video. If you'd like to see more of this, join me over on the bench. So here we are at the bench, and this is the light that you saw in the introduction. It's a QUICKFIX. Yes, I've never heard of them either. Like most of these Chinese lights, there'll be a couple of factories that are churning them out, and they put different brands on them. This one is branded as QUICKFIX. I bought it in January 2017, and it is now May 2020. If I cover that over, you'll see that it does still light up. So electrically it's fine, but we do need to refurbish it. The first thing I need to refurbish is the little light guide here. Now, if we were using it in a security mode, so if we were using it as a proper security light, i.e. somebody walks past, it triggers and comes on, then this thing is very important. Although it looks just a little cheap plastic cover, it does have some, like, I don't know if you can see it, some little conical patterns on the inside, and that is to try and differentiate between a shadow that passes across and an actual object that passes across. Now, although I don't use it in that format, I don't use it as a security light. What I use it for is we've got it mounted right next to the lock and the door, and then when we come in at night, we just switch this on. We can see the lock is illuminated, and we can see to put the key in, open the door, and then we switch it off again. But if I wanted to use it as an always-on security light with a motion detection, then this is important. Now, the problem is with this is because it's mounted right next to the switch. Quite often I've come in the dark and pressed this instead of this very hard, and it's deformed the case. So we need to fix that. The second thing is the solar panel. The solar panel has, it's probably, you probably won't be able to see it, but it has a very thin film or bloom or some covering on the surface of the perspex that covers the solar panel, and that's just come on from years of just standing outside. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from. We need to get that off, because if this impairs the sunlight from hitting the solar panel and the photovoltaic work to be carried out, there's no current generator or less current generator. So although I've never had a problem where the battery's never been charged enough for it to go on when I needed it, we'll have to look at that. And then the last bit is the reason why I got this is the on-off button. Now, the on-off button it's not very easy to depress. To get the click to switch it on and a click to switch it off, you have to really press in quite hard. So that switches it on and it locks it in place, but it's very hard. So we are going to have to try and fix that. Okay, so that's the light. The rest of it is self-explanatory, really. And I'm going to try and get it off. Now, get the back off. There's no other way of getting this off other than the screws, I'm thinking. So we're going to try with that. Yeah, that's pretty the most obvious. There are some little clips in here that I might have to maneuver out, but let's try getting the back off. Okay, so let's get some screwdrivers in here to take the back off. Let's see, I think that's probably a little too small. Oh no, perfect. Wow, first time. John, you're getting good at this. cracky plastic. Quality. Actually, people will be very sarcastic about these lights, but you know, it's been perfectly okay, and it is still electrically fine. It's been out there since 2017. It's 2020 now. I've got no problem with these lights. They're pretty reliable. As I say, we've got a number of them all over the house now. So I can't be too horrible about them. They may not be the best plastic or the best manufacturer, but they're waterproof. The solar panel works. The battery still charges. The LED cob array still works. So you've got to be reasonably impressed with that. Now, how do I get that off? I think I need to prise those little clips out. But how do I do that? Oh, there you go. Something like that. That's how you do it. So what have we got in here? Can I get that out again? How's that clip back in? Right, come out there. Okay, so battery is still fine. It hasn't bulged. There's no corrosion in there, so that's okay. The cell's fine. Electronics is fine in there. Got some silica gunk all over the place, but there's no water ingress, which is good. Now, the big problem is, where is the switch? Can I just push that out? I think probably what I'm going to have to do is desolder things and in order to get this out. Oh, there's two little screws in there, so let me just try and I think I'll mark these up before I start desoldering stuff, just so I know the polarity. Alright, so what I've just done there is I've just desoldered the battery from both ends, here and here, the negative positive. I made a little mark on one of these sides that I now can't see, to denote the positive and negative. I should find it again. That's the positive. I can't see it. I made a little cross on it. Anyway, can always find that out. But I desoldered this. I did all this without having the camera switched on, which was a bit of a faux pas on my part. So I made a little mark that was supposed to denote the positive. Oh yeah, it is there. It's very dark, but it is there. So that's the positive, that's the negative. Just taking that out, desolder these two lines. Screws, a couple of little small screws out of here to take the circuit out. From what I'm no big Clive, but from what I've seen, this is the sort of standard circuit with a little microcontroller in the middle. LED driver, battery charge circuit. I think that's all into that. It's all into that microcontroller by the looks of things. So, what am I going to do? So, I can't take the solar panel out because the solar panel is in this here, and this is just the cob array. There's nothing really wrong with the cob array, but I do need to fix that button. So let's try and fix that button. The problem with the button wasn't that it wasn't latching, it's just that it was not tall enough so that when you press the button through the front rubber grommet, cover, whatever you want to call it, you'd have to really depress it quite far down because there's only a little nobule on this side of the rubber cover, which is supposed to depress this. Now this really needs to be built out a little bit. So I'm going to try and find some plastic to build that out a little bit more so it'll be easier to switch on. One moment. Now, I've come up with what I think is a rather ingenious thing to build out this switch. I'm going to use a deconstructed wall plug, and the idea is if I just cut enough of it off, I should be able to just stick that on there just to pack it enough so that the switch, when depressed, I don't have to fight so hard. So let's try and do that. I can't find my we call it in the UK a Stanley knife because it's by the Stanley, well, it was originally by the Stanley Tool Company, but I can't find my normal knife. And because we're in lockdown, I'm going to use whatever tool comes handy, and it's a carpet knife at the moment. So I'm going to try and cut through this. It's very blunt. So this is what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and stick this. Oh, I'm going to try and stick this on here. Try and. This normally ends badly. Perhaps I can just stick it on there like that. Perhaps I can just cap that off. It's a bit big though at the moment. Let me see if I can get something not so big. That'll do. That'll do. Yeah. I'm sure that'll work. Okay, so what to bond it with? Well, probably my standby glue. Last used on my solar powered weather station. This is the Gorilla Glue. Let's see if this is still in some sort of liquid form or whether it's all. It's got lots of bits on here. Let's just see if I can. Just a little drop. There you go. A little drop. That'll do. That's all I need. The problem with Gorilla Glue is it's very claggy, as we say in the north of England. That should be enough just to build the switch up. So we'll leave that to dry for now. And we'll come back in a bit where we should get on to the next part. Okay, so while we're waiting for the Gorilla Glue to dry on that little bit of plastic to see if we can make the contact a little bit better on the on-off switch, we're going to switch our attention to the okay. Yeah, we're going to switch our attention to the solar panel. Now, I did say there was like a covering or film on this. I wonder if I could just pop it down there and it wouldn't. Yeah, that would be okay. So, there's a small, again, I find it difficult to describe it. It's like a film, a coating that's just accrued over the last few years on the solar panel, and anything that would block the solar rays hitting the photovoltaic cell is obviously going to be suboptimal, let's just say. So I'm going to try and clear the plastic on here. Now it'll be some sort of very potted perspex type cover, or it's some clear cover anyway. And this method that I'm using is tried and tested for anything that's transparent, has a small level of scuffing or very fine scratches on anything that's transparent perspex wise or acrylic wise, like the front of radios or record lids, record deck lids. this all works. Now, it's using the tried and tested Brasso method. Now, Brasso is a British product for, as it says, metal polish for brass, copper, stainless steel, chrome, but it also works for very light scratches on this. It's a very fine abrasive. Now, you can get it in two options. One is the liquid option, which I'd prefer, but I don't have any. So this is the very hard to open wadding option, and it's impregnated with Brasso and this sort of material wadding. So you just take a little bit off, like so, pop that in. That's all you need. That's all I would need. Pop that back, and then you gently go across in one direction across the surface. And we'll just check around the sides, and then we'll do it a couple of times, and then I'll do it in the opposite direction. And already it's clearer. Now, I may have to do that a couple of times, but let me just take a little bit of kitchen roll and just wipe that off. I don't want to go too far in, because obviously I don't want to, I don't know how good the coating is, but there is fine scratches on there, so I'm just going to take it. A few more times. And just okay, that is better than it was before, so I'm going to leave that as is, and hopefully that would have taken the coating that's on the surface off. Could do it on here, and actually it's probably better to see it on the actual front of this, which is the branding. It's better. So that's the front and that done. I knew that was going to be quite easy to fix. Or I hoped it was going to be quite easy to fix. So no impedance of the solar arrays. The solar rays hitting the photovoltaics, and therefore that should be as optimum a method of getting the current generated to charge the battery. So if we go back into here, that's that one done. The button is still it's still soft, so I'll leave that. Now, the other thing that I said was that I had a tendency to press this. I called it a light guide, but it's a little lens. It's a little plastic lens, but you can see it's got a notched surface. And the idea between this little plastic lens or light guide is to diffuse the light that's coming in for the, I'll just take this off, for the passive infrared sensor. So there's a passive infrared sensor in there, and that's how it gets to work out if somebody has passed. That little plastic lens will cut down on false positives, I guess, by making sure that it's not just a shadow that's going to cross, it is actually an action object. But yeah, so I thought incorrectly, but you'll see why I thought incorrectly, that this lens, I depressed it because it was very close to the button, and every time I go in the dark to press the button, I accidentally press this, and I thought I'd pressed the front in, because normally these lenses are fully domed. It's a full dome on the front that comes out like that, but this does seem to be a flat lens. There's nothing, I haven't deformed anything in there, so I just assumed that I'd been pressing that and that's why it's gone flat, but it isn't. It was designed like that by the looks of things, so I'm going to leave that as it is. So we've got all of the solutions that I set out to do here and to try and refurb this light. So I'm just going to pop the lens back onto the passive infrared detector. And I've got to leave that just to dry, maybe an hour, and that'll be ready. Then I can solder this back onto the battery. Actually, I need to test the battery. That's a good thing. I can do that now. Let me just get my multimeter out. While I'm here, oops, I can't even get into the box of the multimeter. What sort of thing do I need there? I can just clip those. Those will do. Those clippage. Okay, so let me see if I can pop this up on a stand so you can see. So the positive was this side. No, the positive is this side. Yeah. So we'll get the probes out. There's one thing about these little these quick fixes that I quite like. Well, the potato shredder. I've done it again. I said that in the actual video. The paper shredder was lot less than quick. It was that I'd hoped it'd be quite quick, but this is these little lockdown quick fixes are quite good for getting a few things done in one setting. So we'll just plonk that on there, plonk that on there. There's a positive. And we'll put that into 200 volts. It's not 200 volts, 20 volts. So that's 4.3 volts. I'm assuming it's 5 volts. So that's probably all right, actually. That's considering that's been in there best part of 3.5 years, charged every day and discharged overnight. That's not done badly. I may as well, when I'm here, just test the current. Oops. Current is 0.02 amps. Okay. Yeah. 0.02 amps. Good. That doesn't seem that bad. That doesn't seem to have degraded that far. So let me just switch it off and unclip. See if I can get the battery out of here. So we'll just take those two little screws out. Actually, I only need to take one out, don't I, really? And see if I can just switch the... move that around. And then see if I can just take this out. There you go. Yeah, it's a standard cell. I do not know the model of it, but it is standard. And I don't know. I guess it's a 5 volt cell, which means that 4.3 or 4.2 or 4.3 what it was, and it's not fully charged. So I would think that is fairly good. So I'll pop that back in. Move that around like so. Work out which one of these are the same. Oh god. Is that going that one? No, that's not that one. It must be this one. Yeah. You see, this is what happens. I don't put the little screws in the right places. They're not all the same, so consequently it's fine. Consequently, I'll lose them. Anyway, so that's that done. So literally, I am just now waiting for this bit of glue to dry. And then we can put it all back together and I can test the little button and see if that has... actually, there was one thing that I need to check here to see if that's depressed. Oh. Okay. There is one thing that's gone horribly wrong here, that I just have to take this off because I didn't figure in that Gorilla Glue was very sticky and just oozed all over the button. I'm hoping that's alright. Damn! So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to find a way of cleaning this out and trying something that's less gloopy. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm going to have to take all of this Gorilla Glue off the side. Oh dear, that's not what I anticipated, John, like most things in here. You see, I told you there was going to be incompetence in here. Incompetence in spades. I'll just take this off here. Okay. What I really need is a little bit of super glue. Something like that. Let's see if I've got some of that. That will bond quicker as well. Right. A little dab of super glue, which has just run down the side. Should be enough. That's all it needs. A little dab of that. Right, so that's okay. But of course, if I don't dry that, that's going to be particularly bad next time. So let me just dry all that off. Okay, and now it's stuck to my fingers. Of course it does. Right. Right, there's a little bit of super glue on there. That should be enough. Now all I want is to push this in. This is just a video of incompetence, really, isn't it? I really need tweezers. See, I'm just not prepared for this at all. Where's my tweezers? I do have some tweezers somewhere. I think they're in here. No, they're not in there. Now I have to pause and get some tweezers. One moment, please, caller again. Okay, now, don't tell my wife these are her tweezers. They're not electronical, mechanical, engineering tweezers or any sort. They're just for nails and for skin. But that should do it. Okay, bloody thing. Ah! Right, let me just plonk that on there. Ow, ow, right. So, who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? I just don't. Right, there. Oh no, that's done it again. Too much. Right, let's just try it the other way around then. Try that. Little drop on there. Right, I'm going to leave that now. That's all it should do. That should be enough to set, just to bulk out the switch a little bit more so that when I press the rubber button it should latch easy, or more easy than it does now. And then that's it. I can put everything back together, resolder these two tabs on, everything's fine. Right, so we're all calm now and we're back at the workbench, and I want to explain to you why there was a lot of swear words in the previous bit of video. So, the aim was to make it easier to switch the light on and off, and by doing that we needed to some way to pack out the switch so that the rubber grommet really that depresses the switch doesn't have to go as far. That was the aim. So what I did was I took the switch that was on the circuit board, and it's this one here, and I tried two different bits of glue. I tried the Gorilla Glue originally, and then I tried the super glue. So the Gorilla Glue was too sticky, and it was going to take a long time to set. So I tried the super glue. Now the super glue has one big problem in that it's not as viscous as the Gorilla Glue. So as soon as I put one dollop on the switch, it ran down the sides of the switch, and I had to take the switch apart to try and get the thing to work. But it's rock solid now. The glue has stuck. So that switch is effectively useless. Well, I did some running around and I found another switch here which looks identical. And I say looks identical because, as you'll know from a switch, and if you don't, you can do some Googling. The functionality of the switch is set by the whether it's a single pole, single throw, double pole, double throw, single pole, double throw. There's all those different combinations, and I can't tell from that switch that I found from another broken device whether that's the same switch. So I won't know until I solder that in if that is going to be perfect for the needs of this light. Anyway, so I've got this light. Now, I don't want to make the same mistake again by packing the switch off. I was going to take, I took a wall plug and I got a bit of plastic out this edge, and I was going to adhere it to that and to pack it out, but I don't think I'm going to do that again because I'll probably end up in the same situation. So what I did was I found a bit of rubber from another device that I was fixing up. Let's just show you that, see if I can get that to focus. And I've cut that down and I've adhered that, stuck that directly on the button. You see there, that's there. So now if I press that in, that should, it's much longer actually. I might have to clear that glue off because I think that glue's impeding it now, which is typical, but I will try that nearer the time. So that should now depress the switch in perfectly, and so I won't have to expend a lot of force to get that switch in. So let's hope that that little packing of that rubber grommet will do the job. So now it's a case of guess really. So I've cleaned the surface of the solar panel, so the light should actually hit the photovoltaics much easier, much better. I've done the packing of the switch, so the switch should switch on and off much easier without me trying to force this in. And I don't think. And the only other thing was the lens on the infrared detector. Well, I have found another lens, and it's much better. I think you remember the last one. I thought I'd depressed the lens in too much and damaged it. Well, this is a perfectly good lens from another device, so I'm going to use that in place of the other lens that I might have damaged. And I'm going to put it now all back together. So I think this is probably time for a speeded up sequence because it's going to take me a while. Enjoy! Right, so what we have here, we have a problem in either I've got the switch in the wrong way around, or the switch is not the right one for this particular job, because it's actually always on, and that's not really what's supposed to happen. So if I hold that, that's where it should be, but it's actually the wrong way around. So I'm going to try and reseat the switch the other way around, so that it's off until you press the switch. One moment. So we're at the stage now where we've managed to change the switch round. So what we should have now is, before we had, when it went dark, the light would come on, and then if you press the switch it would go off, which is not obviously the way you want it. Now hopefully when we do a little test, you'll see switching the switch around, when it goes dark the light should stay off until you press the switch and it comes on. And if that's the case, then we'll go about and put it back together. So let's have one try. I haven't soldered it yet, so I'll have to hold the pins together. Let's just, so the solar panel is covered up by being on the bench, so let's just try. There you go. So it's dark and the light comes on. If it's light, the solar panel has light and the light stays off. Cover it over again. Excellent, that's what we wanted. So that's great news. Everything is sorted with that. I haven't tried the little extension button to see if the little rubber extension that I put on will actually fit the will be long enough to fit to actually press the button down, but let's just see. So first thing we need to do is get this back together. We'll just put this screw bracket on the battery holder. Cool. Now we need to get the soldering iron on, which I've unplugged, and wait for it to heat up, and then we can solder the switch together and put it all back together. Hopefully that will all work, and then we've got it refurbished. And there we have it. It all seems to work. Once we cover the solar panel up to simulate darkness, the switch will work with minimal pressure, which is exactly what I wanted. Take it off, put it back on. Excellent. So I'm just waiting for this cob array to be the glue to stick the cob array into the lens for the cob array. Once that's dried, I'll put this back on, and the next time you'll see me, I'll be out in the garden screwing it to a wall. Well, there you go. It's all refurbished and back on the wall and working exactly how I wanted it to. If you like that quick fix and other things that are on my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe and even press the little dingy bell so you get notified the next time I put something up. Until then, enjoy.